Saul was a child of 1 year when he began to reign, and he reigned 2 years over Israel. So, concerning this first sentence, it's very problematic. Because of the translations that were received over the years, there were symbolical interpretations given of it, but the fact of the matter is that the first part of the sentence, Saul was a child of 1 year when he began to reign, the number there is not actually one, the number is missing. That's an issue. And second, and he reigned 2 years over Israel in the Hebrew is not a complete sentence. So, who knows what it means? And Saul chose him 3,000 men of Israel. 2,000 were with Saul in Michmash and in Mount Bethel, and 1,000 with Jonathan in Gibeah of Benjamin. And the rest of the people he sent back every man to their dwellings. And Jonathan smote the garrison of the Philistines, which was in Gibeah. And when the Philistines had heard of it, Saul sounded the trumpet over all the land, saying, "Let the Hebrews hear." And all Israel heard this report. Saul has smitten the garrison of the Philistines. And Israel took courage against the Philistines. And the people were called together after Saul to Gilgal. The Philistines also were assembled to fight against Israel, 30,000 chariots and 6,000 horsemen, and a multitude of people besides, like the sand on the seashore for number. And going up, they camped in Michmash at the east of Bethaven. And when the men of Israel saw that they were straitened, for the people were distressed, they hid themselves in caves, and in thickets, and in rocks, and in dens, and in pits. And some of the Hebrews passed over the Jordan into the land of Gad and Gilead. And when Saul was still in Gilgal, all the people that followed him were greatly afraid. And he waited 7 days according to the appointment of Samuel. And Samuel did not come to Gilgal, and the people were slipping away from him. Then Saul said, "Bring me the holocaust and the peace offerings." And he offered the holocaust. And when he had made an end of offering the holocaust, behold, Samuel came, and Saul went forth to meet him and salute him. And Samuel said to him, "What have you done?" Saul answered, "Because I saw that the people slipped away from me, and you were not come according to your appointed days, and the Philistines were gathered together in Michmash, I said, now will the Philistines come down upon me to Gilgal, and I have not appeased the face of the Lord. Forced by necessity, I offered the holocaust." And Samuel said to Saul, "You have done foolishly, and have not kept the commandments of the Lord your God, which he commanded you. And if you had not done thus, the Lord would now have established your kingdom over Israel forever. But your kingdom shall not continue. The Lord has sought a man according to his own heart, and him has the Lord commanded to be prince over his people, because you have not observed that which the Lord commanded." Jonathan said to the young man that bore his armor, "Come, let us go over to the garrison of these uncircumcised. It may be the Lord will do for us, because it is easy for the Lord to save either by many or by few." And his armor-bearer said to him, "Do all that pleases your mind. Go where you will, and I will be with you wherever you have a mind." And Jonathan said, "Behold, we will go over to these men. And when we shall be seen by them, if they shall speak to us thus, 'Stay till we come to you,' let us stand still in our place and not go up to them. But if they shall say, 'Come up to us,' let us go up, because the Lord has delivered them into our hands. This shall be a sign to us." So both of them discovered themselves to the garrison of the Philistines, and the Philistines said, "Look, the Hebrews come forth out of the holes wherein they're hid." And the men of the garrison spoke to Jonathan and to his armor-bearer and said, "Come up to us, and we will show you a thing." And Jonathan said to his armor-bearer, "Let us go up, follow me, for the Lord has delivered them into the hands of Israel." And Jonathan went up, creeping on his hands and feet, and his armor-bearer after him. And some fell before Jonathan, others his armor-bearer slew as he followed him. And the first slaughter which Jonathan and his armor-bearer made was of about 20 men, within half an acre of land, which a yoke of oxen is wont to plow in a day. And there was a miracle in the camp through the fields. Yea, and all the people of their garrison, who had gone out to plunder, were amazed, and the earth trembled. And it happened as a miracle from God. And the watchmen of Saul, who were in Gibeah of Benjamin, looked, and behold, a multitude overthrown, and fleeing this way and that. And Saul said to the people that were with him, "Look, and see who is gone from us." And when they had sought, it was found that Jonathan and his armor-bearer were not there. Saul said to Achiah, "Bring the ark of the Lord," for the ark of God was there that day with the children of Israel. And while Saul spoke to the priest, there arose a great uproar in the camp of the Philistines, and it increased by degrees, and was heard more clearly. And Saul said to the priest, "Draw in your hand." Then Saul and all the people that were with him shouted together, and they came to the place of the fight. And behold, every man's sword was turned upon his neighbor, and there was a very great slaughter. Now we're in about 1022 BC. And Samuel said to Saul, "The Lord sent me to anoint you king over his people Israel. Now therefore hearken unto the voice of the Lord. Thus says the Lord of hosts, I have reckoned up all that Amalek has done to Israel, now how he opposed them in the way when they came up out of Egypt. Now therefore go and smite Amalek, and utterly destroy all he has. Do not spare him, nor covet anything that is his, but slay both man and woman, child and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass." So Saul commanded the people, and numbered them as lambs, 200,000 footmen, and 10,000 of the men of Judah. And when Saul was come to the city of Amalek, he laid ambushes in the torrent. And Saul said to the Kenite, "Go, depart, and get down from Amalek, lest I destroy you with him. For you have shown kindness to all the children of Israel when they came up out of Egypt." And the Kenite departed from the midst of Amalek. And Saul smote Amalek from Havilah until you come to Sur, which is over against Egypt. And he took Agag, the king of Amalek, alive, but all the common people he slew with the edge of the sword. And Saul and the people spared Agag and the best of the flocks of sheep and of the herds, and the garments and the rams, and all that was beautiful, and would not destroy them. But everything that was vile and good for nothing, that they destroyed. And the word of the Lord came to Samuel, saying, "It repents me that I have made Saul king, for he has forsaken me and has not executed my commandments." And Samuel was grieved, and he cried to the Lord all night. And when Samuel rose early to go to Saul in the morning, it was told Samuel that Saul was come to Carmel, and had erected for himself a triumphant arch, and returning had passed on and gone down to Gilgal. And Samuel came to Saul, and Saul was offering a holocaust to the Lord out of the choicest of the spoils which he had brought from Amalek. And when Samuel was come to Saul, Saul said to him, Blessed be you of the Lord. I have fulfilled the word of the Lord. And Samuel said, What does this bleating of the flocks mean then, which sounds in my ears, and the lowing of the herds which I hear? And Saul said, They have brought them from Amalek, for the people spared the best of the sheep and of the herds, that they might be sacrificed to the Lord your God. But the rest we have slain. And Samuel said to Saul, Suffer me, and I will tell you what the Lord has said to me this night. And he said to him, Speak. And Samuel said, When you were a little one in your own eyes, were you not made the head of the tribes of Israel? And the Lord anointed you to be king over Israel. And the Lord sent you on the way and said, Go and kill the sinners of Amalek, and you shall fight against them until you have utterly destroyed them. Why then did you not hearken to the voice of the Lord, but have turned to the prey and have done evil in the eyes of the Lord? And Saul said to Samuel, Yes, I have hearkened to the voice of the Lord, and have walked in the way which the Lord sent me, and have brought Agag the king of Amalek, and Amalek I have slain. But the people took of the spoil sheep and oxen as the firstfruits of those things that were slain, to offer sacrifice to the Lord their God in Gilgal. And Samuel said, Does the Lord desire holocaust and victims, and not rather that the voice of the Lord should be obeyed? For obedience is better than sacrifices, and to hearken rather than to offer the fat of rams. Because it is like the sin of witchcraft to rebel, and like the crime of idolatry to refuse to obey. For as much therefore as you have rejected the word of the Lord has also rejected you from being king. And the Lord said to Samuel, How long will you mourn for Saul, whom I have rejected from reigning over Israel? Fill your horn with oil and come, that I may send you to Jesse the Bethlehemite, for I have provided me a king among his sons. And Samuel said, How shall I go? For Saul will hear of it, and he will kill me. And the Lord said, You shall take with you a calf of the herd, and you shall say, I am come to sacrifice to the Lord. And you shall call Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show you what you are to do, and you shall anoint him whom I shall show to you. Then Samuel did as the Lord had said to him. And he came to Bethlehem, and the ancients of the city wondered, and meeting him they said, Is your coming here peaceable? And he said, It is peaceable. I am come to offer sacrifice to the Lord. Be sanctified and come with me to the sacrifice. And he sanctified Jesse and his sons, and called them to the sacrifice. And when they were come in, he saw Eliab, and said, Is the Lord's anointed before him? And the Lord said to Samuel, Do not look on his face, nor on the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. Nor do I judge according to the look of man, for man sees those things that appear, but the Lord beholds the heart. And Jesse called Abinadab and brought him before Samuel. And he said, Neither has the Lord chosen this. And Jesse brought Shammah, and he said of him, Neither has the Lord chosen this. Jesse therefore brought his 7 sons before Samuel, and Samuel said to Jesse, The Lord has not chosen any one of these. And Samuel said to Jesse, Are all your sons here? He answered, There remains yet a young one who keeps the sheep. And Samuel said to Jesse, Send and fetch him, for we will not sit down till he comes here. He sent therefore and brought him. Now he was ruddy and beautiful to behold, and of a comely face. And the Lord said, Arise and anoint him, for this is he. Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon David from that day forward. And Samuel rose up and went to Rammath. But the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord troubled him. And the servants of Saul said to him, Behold, now an evil spirit from God troubles you. Let our Lord give orders, and your servants who are before you will seek out a man skillful in playing on the harp, that when the evil spirit from the Lord is upon you, he may play with his hand, and you may bear it more easily. And Saul said to his servants, Provide me then some man that can play well, and bring him to me. And one of the servants answering said, Behold, I have seen a son of Jesse the Bethlehemite, a skillful player and one of great strength, and a man fit for war, and prudent in his words, and a comely person. And the Lord is with him. Then Saul sent messengers to Jesse, saying, Send me David your son, who is in the pastures. And Jesse took an ass laden with bread and a bottle of wine and a kid of the flock, and sent them by the hand of David his son to Saul. And David came to Saul and stood before him, and he loved him exceedingly and made him his armor-bearer. And Saul sent to Jesse, saying, Let David stand before me, for he has found favor in my sight. So, whenever the evil spirit from the Lord was upon Saul, David took his harp and played with his hand, and Saul was refreshed and was better, for the evil spirit departed from him. Now the Philistines, gathering together their troops to battle, assembled at Soho of Judah, encamped between Soho and Azekah in the borders of Domim. And Saul and the children of Israel, being gathered together, came to the valley of the Terebinth, and they set the army in array to fight against the Philistines. And the Philistines stood on a mountain on the one side, and Israel stood on a mountain on the other side, and there was a valley between them. And there went out a man base-born from the camp of the Philistines, named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. And he had a helmet of brass upon his head, and he was clothed with a coat of mail with scales. And the weight of his coat of mail was 5,000 sickles of brass. And he had greaves of brass on his legs, and a buckler of brass covered his shoulders. And the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and the head of his spear weighed 600 sickles of iron, and his armor-bearer went before him. And standing, he cried out to the bands of Israel and said to them, Why are you come out prepared to fight? Am I not a Philistine, and you the servants of Saul? Choose out a man of you, and let him come down to fight hand to hand. If he be able to fight with me and kill me, we will be servants to you. But if I prevail against him and kill him, you shall be servants, and shall serve us. And the Philistine said, I have defied the bands of Israel this day. Give me a man, and let him fight with me hand to hand. And Saul and all the Israelites, hearing these words of the Philistine, were dismayed and greatly afraid. Now David was the son of that Ephrathite of Bethlehem, Judah, before mentioned, whose name was Jesse, who had 8 sons, and was an old man in the days of Saul, and of great age among men. And his 3 eldest sons followed Saul to the battle. And the names of his 3 sons that went to the battle were Eliab, the firstborn, and the second Abinadab, and the third Shammah. But David was the youngest. So the 3 eldest having followed Saul, David went and returned from Saul to feed his father's flock at Bethlehem. Now the Philistine came out morning and evening, and presented himself 40 days. And Jesse said to David his son, Take for your brothers an ephah of frumenty and these 10 loaves, and run to the camp of your brethren. And carry these 10 little cheeses to the tribune, and go see your brothers if they are well, and learn with whom they are placed." But Saul and they and the children of Israel were in the valley of the Terebinth, fighting against the Philistines. David therefore arose in the morning, and gave the charge of the flock to the keeper, and went away loaded as Jesse had commanded him. And he came to the place of Magala, and to the army which was going out to fight, and shouted for the battle. And some one of Israel said, "Have you seen this man that has come up? For he's come up to defy Israel. And the man that shall slay him, the king will enrich with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and will make his father's house free from tribute in Israel." And David spoke to the men that stood by him, saying, "What shall be given to the man that shall kill this Philistine, and shall take away the reproach of Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?" And the words which David spoke were heard, and were rehearsed before Saul. And when he was brought to him, he said to him, "Do not let any man's heart be dismayed in him. I, your servant, will go and fight against the Philistine." And Saul said to David, "You are not able to withstand this Philistine, nor to fight against him, for you are but a boy, and he is a warrior from his youth." And David said to Saul, "Your servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion or a bear, and took a ram out of the midst of the flock, and I pursued after them, and struck them, and delivered it out of their mouth. And they rose up against me, and I caught them by the throat, and I strangled and killed them. For I, your servant, have killed both a lion and a bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be also as one of them. I will go now and take away the reproach of the people. For who is this uncircumcised Philistine who has dared to curse the army of the living God?" And Saul clothed David with his garments, and put a helmet of brass upon his head, and armed him with a coat of mail. And David, having girded his sword upon his armor, began to try if he could walk in armor, for he was not accustomed to it. And David said to Saul, "I cannot go thus, for I am not used to it." And he laid them off, and he took his staff, which he always had in his hands, and chose himself 5 smooth stones out of the brook, and put them into the shepherd's scrip which he had with him. And he took a sling in his hand, and went forth against the Philistine. Psalm 143, a psalm of David against Goliath. Blessed be the Lord my God, who teaches my hands to fight and my fingers to war. My mercy and my refuge, my support and my deliverer, my protector, and I have hoped in him, who subdues my people under me. Lord, what is man that you are made known to him, or the son of man that you make account of him? Man is like to vanity, his days pass away like a shadow. Lord, bow down your heavens and descend, touch the mountains and they shall smoke. Send forth lightning, and you shall scatter them. Shoot out your arrows, and you shall trouble them. Put forth your hand from on high. Take me out and deliver me from many waters, from the hand of strange children, whose mouth has spoken vanity, and their right hand is the right hand of iniquity. To you, O God, I will sing a new canticle. On the psaltery and an instrument of 10 strings I will sing praises to you, who gives salvation to kings, who have redeemed your servant David from the malicious sword. Deliver me, and rescue me out of the hand of strange children, whose mouth has spoken vanity, and their right hand is the right hand of iniquity, whose sons are as new plants in their youth, their daughters decked out, adorned round about after the similitude of a temple. Their storehouses full, flowing out of this into that. Their sheep fruitful and young, abounding in their goings forth. Their oxen fat. There is no breach of wall, nor passage, nor crying out in their streets. They have called that They have called the people happy that has these things, but happy is the people whose God is the Lord. And the Philistine came on and drew near against David and his armor-bearer before him. And when the Philistine looked and saw David, he despised him, for he was a young man ruddy and of a comely countenance. And the Philistine said to David, "Am I a dog that you come to me with a staff?" And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And he said to David, "Come to me, and I will give your flesh to the birds of the air and to the beasts of the earth." And David said to the Philistine, "You come to me with a sword and with a spear and with a shield, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, which you have defied. This day, and the Lord will deliver you into my hand, and I will slay you and take away your head from you, and I will give the carcasses of the army of the Philistines this day to the birds of the air and to the beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel." And when the Philistine arose and was coming and drew near to meet David, David made haste and ran to the fight to meet the Philistine. And he put his hand into his scrip and took a stone and cast it with the sling, and fetching it about, struck the Philistine in the forehead. And the stone was fixed in his forehead, and he fell on his face upon the earth. And David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone, and he struck and slew the Philistine. And as David had no sword in his hand, he ran and took over the Philistine, and took his sword, and drew it out of the sheath, and slew him, and cut off his head. And the Philistines, seeing that their champion was dead, fled away. Now when David returned after he slew the Philistine, the women came out of all the cities of Israel, singing and dancing to meet King Saul, with timbrels of joy and cornets. And the women sung as they played, and they said, Saul slew his thousands, and David his 10,000s. And Saul was exceedingly angry, and this word was displeasing in his eyes, and he said, They have given David 10,000s, and to me they have given but 1,000. What can he have more but the kingdom? And Saul did not look on David with a good eye from that day forward. Next time we will deal with Saul's jealousy. God bless.